Okay, so yesterday I went and saw the new Planet of the Apes movie. It was my second most anticipated movie of the year. I was absolutely looking forward to seeing the new Planet of the Apes movie. Big fan of the Apes movie, going back to the 1968 Charleston Heston movie, which I surprisingly rewatched last night. I didn't know it was on Disney Plus. Well, if you have the Hulu Disney Plus combo, it was on the front page of Disney Plus, which they had all the Planet of the Apes movies, which was phenomenal because it was really hard to find those classic Planet of the Apes movies on streaming. So I seen it was on the Disney Plus Hulu app, and I started rewatching the old Charleston Heston movie last night. But that's not a review of that. I'm not reviewing that movie. I'm reviewing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Like I said, my second most highly anticipated film of the year. Just extremely looking forward to it. Went to go see it last night with the wife, and just kind of want to give my thoughts on it. I want to get into the good and the bad, the positives and the negatives. I do have some negatives with this movie, more so than I did with the Caesar trilogy. I'm calling the remake, the reboot slash the last trilogy. That's the Caesar trilogy. Let's get to the positives first. I absolutely loved the movie. I did. I walked out enjoying the movie. I thought it was extremely well written. The CGI looked phenomenal. I didn't know how I was going to feel about the new character Noah after really falling in love with Caesar and seeing him growing up from little chimp with James Franco moving into this great leader of Caesar in the over the trilogy. I didn't know how I was gonna feel about Noah. I really ended up liking Noah a lot, as well as I believe Marquise, I want to say his name was, which was the orangutan, which was his sort of his companion. I know Caesar had his own orangutan. I believe it was Marcel. I don't remember. It's been a long time. Okay, I don't know all these major apes names. Okay, I know Kubo and I know Caesar. Okay, and Cornelius, because yeah, I can't pronounce that. Cornelius played a huge role in the old school Charlton Heston movies as well. That's why that name is so recognizable. But with that said, I really did enjoy this movie. I did enjoy following Noah's arc. I really came to really like him as the new protagonist for this series. And like I said, special effects were phenomenal. I really liked the story that they're telling, and I liked where it was going. I'm going to get into some spoilers in this movie because in order to kind of give my negatives of the movie, and for in no way do my negatives take away what I feel for the movie. I think the movie is an 8 out of 10. I'm just going to lay my cards out right now. I think the movie is definitely an 8 out of 10. I would go so high as an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, I would say anywhere between an 8 and an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a really good movie, really solid movie. My negatives so far going into or at least coming out of this movie rather, and I didn't know if I was gonna make this review. I woke up, I was like, should I review Planet of the Apes? And I was like, I don't know, man. I just kind of want to let it sit a little bit, maybe talk about it on Storms Live. But now I just kind of want to give my thoughts on it. So yeah, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. So let's get into the negatives, because people automatically think once you start a list of negatives, it means you don't like the movie. So I just wanted to throw it out there. I like the movie. So don't write in the comments, oh, you don't like it. You're allowed to critique things as you see it, because nothing is perfect. And this movie, I think, had at least 3 glaring flaws that I've seen. The number one thing that bothered me the most about this movie was the runtime. I'm okay for slow burn movies. This movie felt long. It felt really, really long. So much, in fact, where I was sitting in the theater and I was looking, I was like, man, shouldn't we begin to the part where's the new leader of the apes? Obviously this Proxima Caesar, whatever, is the antagonist of the movie. When are we gonna see this guy? I felt like I've been in the theater for 3 hours and we still haven't seen this guy yet. It was a very, very slow burn. Once you get to the shore and you get to this Proxima Caesar, whatever, the movie really picks up and is really bam, bam, bam from that point forward, but that was like toward the end of the second act going into the third act. It was a very, very slow burn leading up to that part. And everything in the beginning was very, very slow. Like, oh, we're climbing, this mountain to look for eagle eggs, and we're following. And I understand the thought process of it. Like, hey, we need to get to know this new group of apes. We need to know these new characters, fall in love with these characters. So when something happens and someone dies, you feel for these characters. I understand the setup, but man, it felt long. It felt long. And I feel like that they could easily condense some of that stuff up and shrink it down a lot. Like, I feel like maybe 15 minutes could have been cut out of this movie. I really do. I feel like 15 minutes could have been cut out of the movie, and it would have been a much quicker pace. Once we get to the end of the second act, going to the third act, I feel like the pacing of that was fantastic. And I'm okay with slow burn movies. Like I said, I was rewatching the Charlton Heston original Planet of the Apes last night. And again, it was a very slow burn in the beginning of that movie. I mean, you're following them on a spaceship, and then they crash land, and then they're swimming naked. And like, it was a very slow burn for that movie as well. So I do realize that, some of these movies have slow pacing problems. But we're talking about a movie from the 60s compared to a movie now. The attention span of the audience is very, very small. Like, I had a lady next to me that was on her cell phone, and she was one of those annoying people like, that's right, you know about Caesar, man. Oh yeah, Caesar, oh yeah. Like when the one ape, Marquise or whatever, was like, they're using the name Caesar's name in vain, like he was a leader. She's like, you tell him, let me check my phone, yeah, and she completely ruined the ending for the movie for me. Like, we were getting to the ending where Noah was fighting Proxima, and she's like, oh, watch, the eagles are gonna come out and attack them. I just looked at her like, bitch, really? Did you have to say that? Like, thanks for ruining the shit. And then the guy next to me, like, I was surrounded by two people on their phones, and if my wife wasn't there, I would have went off on him. I was like, bitch, shut up, shut the fuck up, ho. That's what I would have said. And you motherfucking dickhead, shut your phone off before I shove it up your fucking ass. But I didn't do that. But yeah, the runtime was a little long for me. My other nitpicks include the female actress, the female lead. She felt out of place. Like, I had so many questions. They answered some of the questions at the end where she goes to this bunker, this vault or whatever, and they're trying to communicate, get the satellites back on. But when she's talking, the way she's acting, she feels like it's modern time. Like, she talks like she was there for the whole uprising, which is completely insane, because from the very first movie with James Franco, many years passed. Humans are like scavengers trying to figure out how to bring back society, and then more years passed between Dawn and War of Planet of the Apes. More years passed, and then from War to now, they even say at the beginning, generations has passed. So this girl was not even born when all this stuff, like, she was born after the fact, many generations after the fact of the downfall of the human race. And she's talking like, yeah, I lived through this last week, it used to be hard, like, she felt like really out of place. Like there was humans in this movie that were already voiceless, and they were scavengers that we know from the original movies. She wasn't that. She was obviously educated. She was talking, right? Even if she was from the bunker and they taught her all this stuff in school or whatever, like the downfall of humanity and the ape and the disease and all this shit. And, she still would not talk so confident about that. She was like, yeah, man, this is like, you guys stole this from us. This was all, like, she wasn't convincing. It felt like she was just reading lines. Like she knew everything. Like she was right. Like she went to Starbucks last week and they were talking about the apes. Like she felt like she just felt extremely out of place for the whole movie. And even at the end, when you get to the bunker and she gives the new hard drive, or the hard drive she was looking for, she gave the hard drive to the people and they're trying to communicate with satellite or whatever. Even with all that, it still felt like she was out of place compared to everybody else. And it bothered me. She didn't feel like she belonged in this movie at all. Like maybe I don't know, her tone was a little different. Maybe she didn't you know, say the word so perfectly or something. Right. Like there was no sense of struggle in her voice. There was no sense of desperation in her voice. Like everything felt like it was just coming out, like she was just delivering lines. And it felt extremely out of place. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. Maybe you're like, Rob, you're stupid. You don't get it. Like I could be completely off base. It's just the way I felt listening to her. It felt like she just literally came out of like a mall and she just jumped on set and just like, yeah, like this virus happened. You took everything from us. Hey, what's going down? Like, it just felt very, very out of place. She felt extremely out of place in this movie. I don't know. Maybe it would have been better if they got someone a little older to play the character, or maybe it was just the direction as she was delivering the line. Something felt out of place. But please do me a favor, leave in the comment box below if you kind of understand what I'm saying, if you felt like the character was out of place. But that was really jarring. So much, in fact, I was like, is this Ho from the future? Like, what's going on? Did she come from a spaceship, or is she from the past or something? Like, did they get in a spaceship and she crash landed, and, sort of like Charlton Heston from the original movie, and like, did she, like, and was she on a spaceship or something? How does she know all this? Like, did they find a way to send someone into the future to try to change the events? Was this like a Terminator thing? And no, she was just raised in like a bunker with society or whatever. But everything felt very weird coming from her. Like, it was just the way she. Anyway, I'm not going to go on to it. I felt it was off. Let me know in the comments if you felt it was off. And the third thing that bothered me with the movie was, at the end of War of the Planet of the Apes, Caesar and his clan, his tribe, let's say, his tribe, make it to this desert oasis, which is clear evidence that is where the ape society is going to develop, which would lead into the Charlton Heston 1968 film. Because you go back and watch the 1968 film, it's in a desert location. Yeah, there is some like grass and water around there, but for the most part, it's very sandy and it's more deserty. And that was where Caesar died, in front of the tree, watching his tribe flourish with Nova. And I get a whole other thing why they name every female character Nova. I think that was a little that's a nitpick I don't want to get into so much, but clearly Caesar and everybody went to that location where they were going to settle down and flourish as a society. And then we get into this movie, and Noah and his tribe is in the mountains, in the forest. They're called the Eagle Tribe. And then Proxima, I want to say Midnight, but Proxima Caesar, he's on the coast. He's at the beach. He's like, hey, man, I like the tropical weather. You know what I mean? I want the ocean and all this stuff. And he has his own tribe. And now my thing is, I understand that, okay, there's tons of apes around the world. Okay. We get it that society has fallen. There's going to be different tribes all over the place. So Noah's tribe didn't really bother me. The thing was, with Proxima preaching Caesar's words, because Noah has no idea who Caesar is. It wasn't until Marquise came and he had like the necklace, which was the window for Caesar and all that stuff. Noah doesn't know who Caesar is. Just like a lot of people, like there's human races all over the world. There's different tribes of apes that are living in society. I'm cool with that. That makes sense for Noah and his tribe. But Proxima is preaching Caesar. He's preaching Caesar wrong, 100%. But he's on the coast. He was nowhere, like, was he once with Caesar's clan? Like, I wanted the movie to pick up where Caesar's group left off, because that's where the teaching of Caesar would really be taught, where apes would learn about Caesar and all the things that he's done, and apes would grow up and all that stuff. And maybe even then it was his words to be taken out of context. But the biggest problem I have was, we left Caesar off in War of the Planet of the Apes, where we're in that one location, which looks like it was going to develop into the original movies. And then in this movie, we're nowhere near that location. We're on the coast, we're in the mountains, but we're not in that location. I want to know what those group of apes are doing. I like, what's going on in that setting. Did Proxima come from that tribe and then left to create his own tribe? Is that what happened? None of that's really explained. Caesar wasn't really explained all that much, other than he's an ape, he uses Caesar's name, and he has a human that teaches him about history and human, and he wants to evolve and have apes evolve. That's really is kind of cookie cutter in that aspect. But with those nitpicks, I really enjoyed the movie. I really thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Like I said, I think it's an 8, maybe an 8.5. I think if they would have at least cut down on the runtime, it would have been a much, much more faster paced movie. If they would have done some explaining, maybe again, the Nova / May character, wasn't a big fan of. I just felt like she was out of place, me personally. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. It is not up there with the Caesar trilogy, with the James Franco movie and the Matt Reeves movie. It's not up there, but it's still really good, and I still highly recommend it. If you're a fan of Planet of the Apes, you're gonna fucking love the movie. But anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think. Please do me a favor, leave your comments in the comment box below, smash that like and subscribe button, and thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, as always, I'm Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.